that you just saw is our top-of-the-line SR5UA vertical panel saw router combination machine. It's two machines in one, and it allows you not only to size panels, but to also do dados and rabbets, as you can see from this example right here, for the different type of joinery that you may be doing. It's a great machine. It's a very versatile machine. It solves a lot of problems in a small shop, especially with confined spaces. Allows you to do a lot in one action. As you can see here, we're now changing out the router head to the saw head, and then we're going to set it up for rip cutting. In this case, we're also going to be using the midway fence, which you can see is a shelf that we build at waist level. So when you're cutting shorter pieces, it saves your back and your knees. And so Steve is going to demonstrate just a simple rip cut then with the midway fence after a very short change out of the motor heads. Also, please notice the way that Steve did that. He did it very safely and easily in that he pushed the material probably about 2/3 of the way through, never put his hands back behind the motor carriage. And then he walked around to the other side and finished pulling it through. That's why we're called safety speed, because it's faster and it's safer. And you won't accidentally hurt yourself. You'll have to put a lot of time and effort into doing it. The next machine that we're going to highlight here is the backbone of our company. It's a legacy product. This is the H5 vertical panel saw. It's virtually the same machine that Gene Olson invented in 1958 when he started this company, 62 years ago, with some nifty little upgrades since then. The real strength of a vertical panel saw is the fact that physics and gravity are on your side. And so making vertical cuts, which Steve is now about to do for you, is where it really shines. The H5 today is highlighted with a couple of accessories. You see the quick stop that's mounted here for making repeated cuts. You see the hold down bar for making sure that your panels are held nicely tight against the frame for superior cuts. Now you may be saying, that's a great machine, I'd love it in my shop, but I've got a really small shop. I don't cut that much and I'm really tight for space. Well, we have an option for that as well. As you can see over here, this is our C-Series machine, and it's a 5-foot wide frame, and yet it still has all the capabilities of our larger machines, both vertical cuts and horizontal cuts. And a single person can do it by themselves in their shop, again, very safely, quickly, accurately. So we've got multiple models available for you, depending on what your needs are. If you're cutting only a few hours a day or in a week, the C-Series or the H-Series is great for you. But maybe you're doing a little more production than that, and you want a little more oomph in the motor. In that case, then we would step you up to our model 64 or 6800. Now, we don't actually have that here today, but we basically do in the saw router machine that we showed you earlier. model 6400 is built off of this same frame with some upgrades. You'll notice, please, that there are a couple of additional diagonal frame pieces. There's also twice the number of bearings on the saw carriage, and then you can't really see it, but the material rollers at the bottom are solid aluminum. And then, of course, you also upgrade to the skill worm drive motor, which gives you much more torque, right? So as long as we're talking about some of the intricacies of these machines, let me point out just a little bit here on the H5 for you. Some of the things that really set a safety speed vertical panel saw apart from any other of our competitors. Number one, we're the only ones on the market that put diagonal frame pieces onto the machine. And when you weld it diagonally, there's something, again, about the physics of that that really strengthen it a lot more than just the perpendicular welds. But then another aspect, again, that's exclusive to us and key to the machine are the two vertical pieces that you see at the center of the machine here. These are rotated 45 degrees. And so you're pushing against the corner of tube steel instead of against the flat part. And so it's much stronger, especially at the center of the machine. It makes for a much more rigid frame, much more long-lasting frame that's not going to give and buckle away from the saw blade. Also, the fact that you're hitting the corners of these pieces means that when you're doing horizontal rip cuts, your material slides through so much easier. It's never going to come to a 90-degree angle and potentially stop it. Just some of the things that we do extra here at Safety Speed to set our machines apart from any competition. Now, if you've got a big production shop, you're doing lots of cutting in a day, lots of hours of running, and just cutting and cutting like crazy. Then you can step up to this model 7000 or even our model 7400, which comes fully decked with all of the accessories. Some of the differences on this model are that instead of vertical guide tubes, we have milled guide rails and a dual V-track bearing system. It's very heavy duty. The motor is what really stands out on this machine. It's the Bell-Door induction motor. It's a continuous use motor. You can turn it on in the morning. You can shut it off in the afternoon when you go home. And it's built just for endurance. It's a great machine. This is a big, rugged machine. The counterweight on this machine is about 100 pounds, and so it's built into the stand, and it ships that way. It comes ready for you to use. So whatever needs you might have, whether it's a few cuts in a week, a few cuts in a day, or a lot more production, or huge amounts of production, maybe it's even doing dados and rabbets for certain joinery, Safety Speed as a vertical panel saw or saw router combination machine that'll fit your needs.